And
Mhm.
and I think, especially if you're in a place where there are multiple people living in a household, I wonder, in your design process, uh, you know, are there things that you recommend that can practically help to kinda soften these friction points, and increase ease and grace throughout the home?
Yeah. So, you know, it's hard to just talk about it without seeing a specific example. Like if I'm looking at someone's particular home, I'm looking at their family, I'm looking at their existing floor plan and saying, okay, what works, what doesn't? Are we going to make changes with their existing home? Or are we building a new home and we want to take the good and leave the bad behind into creating this new thing? What are the specifics we can dive into? Generically, though, I can share some things that are common friction points in the home, and those typically are spaces that are perhaps not quite size appropriate for the occupant load or the paraphernalia load that they're getting. So those are going to be kitchens, bathrooms, and entry spaces. So
Hmm,
think about it. Especially if you live in a cold climate or a climate with seasons, like I do, in New England. um, as the seasons change, I mean, you have coats and hats and boots and gloves and umbrellas and scarves and bags of groceries and handbags and keys and cell phones and all sorts of stuff. And if you come home with a family of five all at the same time and you just have a little entry area, or worse, no entry area at all, it just opens right up into the kitchen or into the living room and it just becomes a dumping ground, right? And so you need a size appropriate space that can handle all of the people and all of the gear that they have to deal with. And if there's not a place for all those coats to go in an organized fashion, then things are going to end up out of place. And so what happens is you spend precious time nagging the people you live with to pick up after themselves. And that creates friction and disharmony in the relationship. Whereas it's not that they're lazy, it's just that there's no system in place. The architecture isn't supporting it. Whereas if we build a size appropriate entry vestibule with appropriate cubbies or shelves or closet space for storage of everyone's stuff comfortably where they can get at it, then a few times, once the habit is established, then it just becomes automatic, second nature. You just go ahead, oh, here's where my keys are. And then that way you're not running around the morning going, where are my keys? You know where they are. They're right there. They always go there. This is where they live. There's a place for it. There's a system. I built a
yeah.
system around it. And so we build systems into the home to do that. So now, instead of chasing around looking for misplaced lost items or nagging each other for picking up after themselves, the time you can spend interacting is quality time. It's about doing stuff that's fun. It's about engaging at deeper levels. And so that's an example of friction in the home that's no one's fault. You need to be accepting of yourself and of the people you live with, and just allow a broader acceptance of and compassion for each other. There's some things you can fix. Let's fix those. There's some things that you can't fix, and you just have to say, okay, it's one of those things I just have. It is what it is, and perfection is hard to come by in a world of three dimensions. And so when we build a home from scratch, we can build things. We can get excellent. Perfection, I don't promise that, right? But we can certainly head for excellence, and we can try to figure out how many cubby spaces we're going to need, or how much linear feet of closet, and how many drawers of storage, and how many coat hooks and all that stuff. We can plan the space for everyone. But if you don't have that, and there's simply, if you're renting a place, or if you're already in a place but you have no budget or no intention to renovate the place, then you want to focus on things that you can do rather than the things that you can't do. Because if you're focusing all the time on things that you can't do, then it's an impossible task and you're just going to be frustrated. And so that's not the message I have for people, is dissatisfaction. I'm trying to help people find the low hanging fruit, the simple things that they can do to positively impact their life. Yes.